The Benefit of Yoniso manasikāra by Venerable Rungruang Papassaro, Dr. Rungruang Limchoopatipa. Yoniso manasikāra means establishing mindfulness with careful attention. It is the way to abandon unwholesome thoughts, including all kinds of 5 lower fetters, to become a master of the courses of thought, and then the mind will dwell in the right concentration. This special technique of Yoniso manasikāra consists of 2 parts as follows. 1. Establishing mindfulness to monitor the mind's condition if it is wholesome or unwholesome. 2. In case the mind is wholesome, then resume the mindfulness establishment to keep on monitoring the mind. And if the mind is unwholesome, then make use of mindfulness to reset the mind to be in the present moment, and apply a proper dharma to abandon the arising unwholesome, and then the mind will turn to be wholesome. In effect, the Yoniso manasikāra can be considered as a routine of mindfulness applications to keep the mind wholesome at all times, and the mind will become internally steadied, unified, composed, and concentrated, and then the mind will proceed to the right concentration. The Yoniso manasikāra is the way to safeguard the mind from any troubling states of mind as follows.
If he left the sense faculty unguarded, namely eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, and mind, then evil unwholesome states of longing and dejection might invade him. He practices the way of its restraint. He guards the sense faculty. He undertakes the restraint of the sense faculty and contains the emotional mental feeling, not to be aggravated to become a serious problem. Therefore, everyone should establish mindfulness to safeguard the mind from any arising problem in 4 aspects of unwholesomeness. On seeing a form with the eye, on hearing a sound with the ear, on smelling an odor with the nose, on tasting a flavor with the tongue, on feeling a tactile object with the body, on seeing a form with the eye, cognizing mental phenomenon with the mind. The person does not grasp at its signs and features, since, if he left the mind faculty unguarded, evil unwholesome states of longing and dejection might invade him. He practices the way of its restraint. He guards the sense faculty, and he undertakes the restraint of the sense faculty. This is a way to establish mindfulness to safeguard the mind from the matters of craving for sensual pleasure of greed, the matters of craving for extermination of hatred, the matters of craving for existence with delusion, the matters of craving with desire and lust. By establishing mindfulness to protect the mind from all defilements, then the person should have full confidence and not be afraid of any matter.
In the process of monitoring the mind condition, if the mind is wholesome after the realization, then we reinitiate mindfulness to resume the monitoring. However, if the mind is unwholesome, then we have to take a certain action with proper dharma to abandon it. The Yoniso manasikāra is the routine of the application of mindfulness establishment for handling each particular stimulus coming into the mind rightly in accordance with the dharma of the truths of life within nature. That is, knowing what the incoming stimulus is and then knowing how to respond to the stimulus rightly. It is the cognitive development of the combination of mindfulness and wisdom taking action together to maneuver the mind processing into the right pathway. This processing routine is executed by establishing mindfulness to check the mind condition first and then taking a proper response to the received stimulus rightly with dharma. The objective of Yoniso manasikāra is to undertake the restraint of the arising of an unwholesome mind, and in case of detecting any unwholesomeness, then abandoning it. We can realize that by performing Yoniso manasikāra along the courses of Buddhist practice into the inner mind of thoughts, we will learn the dharma, the truth of nature on how to maneuver the mind rightly, little by little, and we will gain knowledge on how to cope with the world rightly. The Buddha praised the benefit of Yoniso manasikāra as the golden sunlight from the sun in the morning that leads to the right pathway of mind processing as follows.
When the sun rises at dawn, the golden light of the sun will shine as a sign of the beginning of the day. So does the Yoniso manasikāra, mindfulness with careful attention. Yoniso manasikāra is a leading sign to the success of Buddhist practice, like the dawn in the morning. Anyone who wants to be successful in Buddhist practice has to perform the Yoniso manasikāra. Anyone who wants to reach the 7 factors for enlightenment has to perform the Yoniso manasikāra.
After being able to establish mindfulness, when performing the Buddhist practice, it is very important to understand that the Yoniso manasikāra is a primary execution to be taken at the earliest stage of the Buddhist practice for the restraint of incoming stimulus at the 6 sense bases as follows.
By performing the Yoniso manasikāra to abandon the unwholesome thoughts of the 5 lower fetters, then the mind will proceed into the development of 7 factors for enlightenment. The Yoniso manasikāra is the basis for the Buddhist practice in order to abandon the 5 lower fetters and to attain the 7 factors for enlightenment.
And when performing the Yoniso manasikāra, then the mind will be on gladness, rapture, bodily and mind relaxations, seclusions, happiness, and concentration, respectively. And in case when proceeding on insight, then wisdom is gained for disenchantment, dispassion, and liberation as follows.
In performing the Buddhist practice, the mind will make a progressive development as follows. Dependent on Yoniso manasikāra arises gladness. Dependent on gladness arises rapture. Dependent on rapture arises bodily and mind relaxations, seclusions. Dependent on bodily and mind relaxations, seclusions, arises happiness. Dependent on happiness arises concentration, one-pointedness. Dependent on concentration arises insight. Dependent on insight arises disenchantment. Dependent on disenchantment arises dispassion. Dependent on dispassion arises liberation.